Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that is literally life-changing if you're currently in school. We're breaking down the modern student's guide to digital income and experience. There's always been this kind of accepted narrative, right? That being a student just automatically means you're broke, living off instant ramen, and just counting down the days until graduation so real life can start. But honestly, what if that whole idea is totally outdated? Today, we're looking at how students are unlocking some incredibly realistic ways to earn money online while studying full-time. And we're going to walk through it step by step. So let's kick things off with a massive what if. What if your next semester's expenses could be completely covered by skills you are already learning right now? I really want you to think about that for a second. Imagine making money during those awkward 2-hour gaps between classes. Imagine building this verifiable, super impressive resume before you even walk across the graduation stage. And best of all, imagine doing all this without having to work those exhausting, soul-crushing night shifts that just leave you way too tired to actually study. It's not some crazy pipe dream. It's exactly what resourceful students are pulling off right now. Just look at the stark contrast between your options here. Traditional part-time jobs, they usually mean totally inflexible hours that end up clashing with your exams, really exhausting shift work, and honestly, pretty low career relevance. You're basically just trading your time for minimum wage. But the digital economy, that is a completely different ballgame. It gives you flexible schedules that actually work around your midterms. It offers high leverage that scales up with you. And crucially, it builds a professional portfolio that future employers actually care about. So, the modern student dilemma. Let's ground this by looking through the eyes of a second-year university student named Sarah. Like a lot of us, Sarah just wanted a little extra cash to ease that constant financial pressure. But balancing her chaotic class schedule with a physical job, it felt mathematically impossible. She was completely stuck. But then she had this huge realization. In today's digital economy, students don't always need traditional part-time jobs. She figured out she didn't have to physically commute to a local store to find work, because the absolute best opportunities were literally sitting right there inside her laptop. That single mindset shift kicked off a journey that totally transformed her university experience. Let's look at exactly how she did it. Method 1. Freelance micro skills. Now, when Sarah first peeked into the digital economy, she was super overwhelmed. She thought, oh great, I need to be an expert coder or some master marketer. But she quickly realized she already had a baseline of incredibly useful micro skills. We're talking about things you probably use for coursework every single day. Research, data entry, presentation design, posting on social media, basic graphic design, content writing. Guess what? Businesses and entrepreneurs are absolutely desperate for help with these exact tasks. So Sarah started small, a little data entry here, a bit of basic research there. Sure, it wasn't super glamorous on day one, but every single small project boosted her confidence, sharpened those skills, and started building up her digital portfolio. So she was making some steady income with these micro skills, and honestly, that alone was a massive win. But the next opportunity surprised her the most. It required almost zero previous experience, yet it tapped into literally one of the most explosive trends on the entire internet. Method number 2, AI-assisted content creation. Look, we're living in an era where artificial intelligence is this incredibly valuable everyday productivity tool, and students are perfectly positioned to jump on this. The process is actually surprisingly straightforward. First, you use AI for the heavy lifting, things like drafting, organizing your research, and mapping out a plan. But then, step 2 is where the magic happens. You combine human creativity with that AI baseline. You can't just copy and paste a bot's text. You've got to edit, refine, and really inject a human voice. Because at the end of the day, step 3 is delivering actual results to businesses. They aren't paying you just because you know how to log into an AI program. They're paying for that polished, finished blog post or marketing plan that you hand over. Moving right along to method 3, short-form video editing. Just think about your own scrolling habits for a second. Short video content completely dominates the internet right now, right? Creators are uploading these massive hour-long podcasts and deep dive videos, but they desperately need those long videos chopped up into snappy, engaging short clips for social media. And they just do not have the time to do it themselves. That makes this a massively high-demand skill. Plus, modern editing software and AI cropping tools make it easier to learn than ever before. Sarah spent maybe a couple of weeks practicing. Soon enough, she was taking one long podcast and turning it into 5 brilliant, high-quality shorts. She was getting paid and developing highly transferable media skills all at once. So at this point, Sarah is crushing it. She's freelancing, using AI, editing videos, and trading her new skills for income. But what she did next really changed everything. She made this huge mental leap from just offering her services to actually creating her own digital assets. She stopped just working for clients and started building something totally for herself.
Method 4. Selling digital products.
Sarah had this brilliant, yet honestly kind of obvious realization. As a student, you are essentially a full-time knowledge worker. You're constantly creating highly useful resources just to survive your classes, right? Study planners, revision templates, productivity trackers, budget sheets. Why let all that hard work just sit unused in a random folder on your desktop? Those are highly valuable digital products. Now, the goal here isn't to code some complex, crazy app. The goal is just to solve a very specific problem for other students. Sarah took a simple study planner she'd made for herself, polished it up a bit, and threw it online. At first, almost nobody noticed, but she kept it up, optimized it, and eventually more students found it and bought it. That simple little planner turned into a profound, real-world lesson in entrepreneurship and passive digital income. Which leads us to Method 5, remote student assistant roles. This actually turned into Sarah's absolute favorite way to earn and learn. Startups, independent creators, small business owners, they are completely swamped. They desperately need sharp, organized people to help handle research, email organization, scheduling, data management, and talking to customers. And all those micro skills Sarah picked up in the very beginning, they perfectly positioned her for this exact role. When she took on a job like this, she wasn't just doing some random task. She was getting a front row seat to how a real business actually operates. She was interacting with clients, managing projects, and networking. That is the kind of invaluable, real-world experience you literally cannot get sitting in a lecture hall. And that brings us to the real core of this whole explainer. Income plus experience equals a long-term advantage. By the time graduation finally rolled around, Sarah wasn't just walking away with a piece of paper and a slightly heavier bank account. She had developed elite communication skills. She knew how to manage complex projects, and she had a rock-solid professional portfolio of real work she'd done for real businesses. She built a massive long-term advantage over everyone who just clocked hours at the campus coffee shop. So let's talk about your long-term advantage. How do you actually go from feeling totally overwhelmed by tuition bills to building a profitable digital skill set of your own? Well, just look at how progressively this builds. Back in week 1, Sarah just started with basic data entry. Nothing crazy. But by month 2, because she was already immersed in that digital environment, she mastered AI tools and video editing. By month 4, she had the confidence to launch her own digital product. And by month 6, all of that combined experience helped her land a high-value remote assistant role. It's a progressive revelation. Every small skill naturally and inevitably compounds into the next big opportunity. You don't have to jump straight to month 6 today. You really just have to start week 1. And that leads perfectly into this huge takeaway. Every small project teaches something. Every skill compounds. Thriving in the modern digital economy isn't about being the smartest person in your graduating class. Honestly, it's rarely about sheer intellect. It is almost entirely about your willingness to learn, your ability to adapt to new tools, and your dedication to just taking consistent action. Every single step forward you take online branches out into new opportunities that you literally couldn't even see before you started. Which brings us to the end of our explainer today. And I want to leave you with this final, really important question. What digital skill will you start learning today to fund your next semester? Seriously, do not wait for graduation to start building your career. The tools are completely free, the opportunities are endless, and the right time is right now. If you found this breakdown valuable and you want to keep discovering practical ways to earn, learn, and grow, make sure you subscribe, drop a like on this explainer, and definitely share the page with a friend who needs to hear this. Thanks so much for diving into the digital economy with me, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.